At the southernmost tip of the Earth lies a land never conquered. Antarctica, the last intact icy continent on the planet. It belongs to no nation, only to nature. Temperatures can drop to minus 90 degrees Celsius, with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. No creature could survive here without being forged by nature over millions of years. This is the harshest place on Earth, yet also the most resilient cradle of life. In winter, the Antarctic sky is lit by the aurora australis, nature's most magnificent light show. Green, purple, and gold ribbons twist like the souls of the ocean dancing above. Even in total darkness, Antarctica finds a way to shine. Summer arrives, and the sun no longer sets. Daylight stretches for weeks. It signals the start of the planet's most miraculous explosion of life. In just a few short weeks, Antarctica awakens with unstoppable force. As the ice melts, sunlight penetrates the water for the first time after months of darkness. Billions of plankton awaken, photosynthesizing at astonishing speed. The Southern Ocean becomes one of the most nutrient-rich seas in the world. Ice sheets fracture into massive slabs, drifting along gigantic ocean currents. Each piece carries thousands of years of Earth's history compressed within. This is not merely frozen water, it is the living memory of our planet. Beneath the thin ice, a small yet majestic world thrives. Millions of algal cells cling to the underside, converting faint light into energy. They form the foundation of the entire food chain. Without them, nothing survives. Krill, tiny finger-sized crustaceans, are the most important creatures in the polar region. They consume algae and become food for everything from small fish to giant whales. The Southern Ocean's krill biomass is estimated at 500 million tons, an almost unimaginable number. From the tiniest organisms to the largest giants, all are connected in a delicate web. Any damaged link can collapse the entire system. Antarctica is not a wasteland, it is a perfectly tuned ecological machine. Beneath 4 kilometers of ice lie massive lakes untouched by the outside world for millions of years. Lake Vostok, larger than Lake Ontario, exists in total darkness with no light and no oxygen from the sky. Yet life persists there, patient and mysterious like the night watchman of time. These chemotrophic bacteria require no sunlight. They feed on minerals and respire chemicals from the rock. They remind us that life does not require normal conditions to exist. Nototheniod fish have evolved antifreeze proteins in their blood, like car coolant. Their blood does not freeze even below the normal freezing point of seawater. In the deep, dark waters, strange creatures exist beyond human understanding. The colossal squid, the largest in the world, hunts in total darkness at depths of 2,000 meters. They are proof that countless mysteries remain for science to explore. Minke whales travel thousands of kilometers each year to reach Antarctica's nutrient-rich waters. They filter tons of krill daily through their massive baleen plates. Their presence serves as a gauge of the ocean's overall health. Weddell seals can dive 600 meters and hold their breath for over 80 minutes, a record among mammals. They carve breathing holes in ice with their teeth, a skill learned from their mothers. Each seal is a living library of survival experience passed down through generations. On the seabed of the Southern Ocean, cold water coral gardens exist silently for hundreds of years. Sponges here can live over 10,000 years, longer than any human civilization. They are silent witnesses to Earth's history, now threatened daily. The Southern Ocean drives 80% of the global ocean's heat circulation. Cold waters from Antarctica flow northward, regulating climates across the planet. What happens here affects not only the poles, it affects all of us. Humpback whales, 30-ton giants, can leap entirely out of the water with astonishing grace. Their songs echo thousands of kilometers underwater, as complex as a symphony. They are artists, warriors, and teachers of the ocean. Bubble net feeding, the most sophisticated group hunting technique observed in the animal kingdom. One whale swims in a deep circle, exhaling bubbles to form an invisible trap around the fish. Others surge upward with open mouths the instant the fish have no escape. This bubble net technique is not instinctive. It is taught by mothers over years of patient observation. Calves watch, mimic, and gradually learn to coordinate with the pod in complex hunts. This is cultural transmission, proof that humans are not the only species with culture. In summer, dozens of humpback whales gather in the Southern Ocean, the largest feast of the year. Each can consume up to 1.5 tons of krill daily, storing energy for the long migration. But this banquet becomes increasingly difficult as krill populations decline. The pectoral fins of humpback whales stretch up to 5 meters, the longest relative to body size of any whale. They use these fins for navigation, communication, and even to soothe their young in uncertain moments. In these simple gestures, we witness the rare gentleness of these magnificent creatures. Humpback whales sometimes protect other species from orca attacks, actions that provide no obvious benefit to themselves. Scientists call this altruistic behavior, rare in the natural world. Perhaps empathy is not exclusive to humans. In the harshest winter on Earth, when all other creatures have fled, emperor penguins remain. They choose to breed at the worst time of year, a natural paradox with deep purpose. By spring, the chicks are strong enough to face the awakening ocean. The male incubates the egg on his feet for 65 days in the winter darkness, without eating or drinking. Outside temperatures reach -50 degrees Celsius, yet under his belly the egg remains at 36 degrees Celsius. This sacrifice needs no words. It speaks volumes about paternal devotion. To survive, they form a huddle, a collective warm mass where thousands squeeze together. Inside, temperatures can reach +37 degrees Celsius, while outside it is -50 degrees Celsius. No penguin remains on the cold edge. They rotate in and out, sharing warmth equally. When the egg hatches, the chick enters a frozen world, yet is immediately wrapped in its father's warmth. The chick's call and the parent's response form a unique, vocal signature. Among thousands of identical penguins, parents and chick always find each other, by voice alone. When the parents go to sea foraging, the juveniles form an improvised nursery called a creche. They keep each other warm, shielding one another from the cold with their own bodies. No adults direct them. Social instinct is hardwired from birth. After months at sea foraging, the mother returns with a belly full of partially digested fish and squid. She recognizes her chick precisely among tens of thousands, a marvel of perception. This maternal devotion rivals that of any species on Earth. As summer arrives, chicks face the shoreline for the first time in their lives. No one teaches them to swim. Instinct and the perfect design of their bodies make it possible. Yet they hesitate, glance at one another, waiting, like children at a lakeshore, needing just a bit more courage. No predator in the Southern Ocean is more formidable than the orca, the killer whale. The male's dorsal fin rises 1.8 meters, standing tall like a declaration of absolute power. They are strategists, sociologists, and cultural architects of the ocean. Orcas live in matriarchal family groups: grandmother, mother, offspring, and grandchild, up to 4 generations together. The eldest female holds survival knowledge. Where food is, where danger lies. Even after ceasing reproduction, older females live decades longer, solely to pass knowledge to the next generation. When an ice floe hosts seals, orcas do not strike immediately. They observe, calculate, and plan. This is not mere instinct. It is tactical thinking learned and taught. Each orcapod has unique hunting techniques, like distinct cultural dialects. Wave washing, creating artificial waves to knock seals off ice, is the pinnacle of social intelligence. It requires perfect coordination among 5 to 6 whales, precise timing, angle, and wave force. This technique does not exist in every pod. It is a cultural legacy passed down within families. Calves learn hunting from their mother over many years, failing, trying again, guided, and repeating. This is intentional education, akin to a teacher instructing a student. If the mother dies early, the calf misses skills no school could provide. Orcas communicate using a complex acoustic system of clicks, whistles, and pulses. Each family has its own dialect, sequences of sounds not found in any other pod. Listening to a recording, scientists can immediately identify which pod is speaking. A female orca can live 90 years, long enough to witness the ocean change across multiple generations. She carries memories of abundant seasons and tragic famines. This lifetime of experience is the most valuable survival tool any species could need. Ocean temperatures around Antarctica have risen nearly 1 degree Celsius over the past 50 years. It may seem small, but in ecosystems refined over millions of years, 1 degree Celsius is catastrophic. Ice shelves stable for millennia have collapsed within decades. Krill rely on winter sea ice to reproduce. When ice decreases, so does krill. As krill decline, the entire food chain trembles. Penguins starve, whales grow thin, seals weaken. One broken link, the 500-million-year-old web of life begins to unravel. In some areas, emperor penguin populations have declined by up to 70% over the past 50 years. Locations where they have bred for centuries no longer have sufficient ice to sustain nests. This is not a future forecast. It is happening right now. Since 1979, the annual minimum sea ice extent has decreased by more than 13% per decade. These numbers are not computer model forecasts. They are real satellite data. We are witnessing a historic transformation unfolding before our eyes. Scientists call Antarctica the canary in the coal mine of the planet. Warning signs appear here first, signaling the state of Earth's climate system. Every measurement here is a letter to the future, and the message grows increasingly alarming. Every time you turn on the AC, drive a car, or buy a plastic product, there is an invisible connection to Antarctica. Greenhouse gases from cities around the world accumulate and impact this most remote land. There is no here and there when it comes to climate. We all live in a single system. Antarctica has existed for millions of years before humans appeared, and it deserves to exist for millions more. The creatures living here, from microbes to whales, have taught us about cooperation, patience, and adaptation. The question is not whether they can survive, but whether we are wise enough to protect them. The Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean on Earth, wider than all continents combined. It holds more than half of our planet's water. And beneath its calm surface lies a world that has never stopped breathing. Sunlight reaches only 200 meters, a thin layer above an abyss 11 kilometers deep. Below it lies eternal darkness, crushing pressure, and freezing cold. And yet, life endures, resilient, strange, and intelligent in ways we are only beginning to understand. The ocean is never still. Massive currents flow like the bloodstream of a living organism. They carry heat, nutrients, and life across the planet. Without these currents, life as we know it would not exist. It begins with the smallest, plankton, invisible to the naked eye. They produce over 50% of the oxygen we breathe. The greatest forces of life are often carried by the smallest unseen hands. Millions of years of evolution have shaped countless answers to one question: how to survive. Every species is a strategy. Every body is a masterpiece of intelligence. Listen closely, the library of life is opening. Orcas, killer whales. The name sounds ruthless, but the truth is far more complex. They are not solitary hunters. They are a society. And that society operates on an intelligence we are only beginning to understand. When hunting, orcas do not rush into chaos. They use strategy. One group drives the fish, another blocks escape, others attack in sequence. It takes years for a young orca to learn this entire system from its pod. Each pod has its own language, passed from mother to calf across generations. This is not instinct. This is culture. Orcas are among the few species known to transmit culture through learning. Orcas teach their young with techniques that demand patience and precision. They wait for the perfect moment. They understand space and terrain. Their intelligence is that of a general, strategic, patient, and collective. Orcas do not need the biggest prey or the strongest bodies. They need each other. The ocean's first lesson: true power lies in cooperation. For 100 million years, that is how long sharks have existed on this planet. They have survived 5 mass extinctions, events that wiped out most life on Earth. And their form has barely changed, because they reached perfection long ago. Sharks sense bioelectric fields, faint signals from a beating heart, muscle movement, flowing blood. Even hidden beneath the sand, prey cannot escape. This is not technology, it is instinct refined to perfection over millions of years. The great white hunts alone, no allies, no complex coordination. Every strike is the result of millions of years of biological optimization. This is the intelligence of perfection. When you are already enough, you do not need to change. At first glance, the hammerhead's strange head seems like a mistake of nature. But it is a masterpiece of design. Eyes spaced wide apart, granting nearly 360-degree vision. They can see behind without turning, always aware of everything around them. Their wide head doubles as a powerful sensory array, expanding their electroreception. They scan the ocean floor like a living metal detector. Even a stingray buried in sand meters away cannot escape detection. This is sensory intelligence, mastering the environment with unmatched awareness. The whale shark, the largest fish on Earth. A mouth as wide as a doorway, a body the size of a bus. Yet all that power is used to feed on plankton and tiny fish. They have chosen not to play the game of violence, and that choice has become a remarkably successful survival strategy. By feeding on the ocean's most abundant resource, plankton, whale sharks avoid competition almost entirely. They live quietly, without the need to chase, without the need for speed, with few natural enemies. This is the intelligence of choice, taking the path of least conflict and lasting the longest. Octopuses have no bones, no shells, no claws. The only thing they truly possess is intelligence, and a very unusual one. 2/3 of their neurons are not in the brain, but spread across their 8 arms. Each arm can act independently, sensing, deciding, and moving without waiting for the central brain. This is distributed intelligence. No single center of control, every part can act on its own. Lose one arm, and the others continue as if nothing happened. Octopuses use tools, a rare trait in nature. They gather coconut shells as shelter, open jars for food, solve complex puzzles. They do not simply react, they think. A mother octopus stops eating while guarding her eggs, sometimes for months. When they hatch, she is often too weak to survive. This is intelligence through sacrifice, a behavior that looks remarkably like love. An octopus lives no more than 3 years. Yet in that brief time, it learns, adapts, creates, and feels. If it lived longer, how far could its intelligence go? A question science still cannot answer. Jellyfish have no brain, no heart, no blood, no bones. They are drifting bodies of water, so simple they barely seem like animals. And yet, they have existed for over 500 million years, longer than dinosaurs, longer than sharks, longer than trees. There is a species called Turritopsis dohrnii. When injured or aging, it can reverse its life cycle, returning to its juvenile form, starting over, growing again, then repeating the process. In theory, it can do this endlessly, a true form of biological immortality. The lesson of the jellyfish: perfection does not always come from complexity, but from simplicity. When you have nothing to lose, you are nearly impossible to destroy. This is the intelligence of minimalism, and therefore of endurance. Sea snakes do not hide. They want to be seen. Their vivid colors are a warning. My venom is far more potent than that of land cobras. This is chemical intelligence. Invest in the ultimate biological weapon, then display it as an invisible shield. Lionfish do not chase their prey. They lure it in through beauty and curiosity. Their spines carry neurotoxic venom. A single touch can paralyze. Their strategy: become dangerously beautiful and let the world walk into the trap. The leafy sea dragon is the pinnacle of natural camouflage. No predator can distinguish it from real seaweed. Its leaf-like appendages do not aid movement, but perfect its disguise. Evolution chose appearance over speed, and that choice ensured survival. In seahorses, the male carries and gives birth, a rare reversal in nature. They move slowly, unable to escape, yet perfect camouflage and a hidden life ensure their survival. This is the intelligence of invisibility. Sometimes not being seen is the greatest power. Every year, billions of sardines migrate along the coast of South Africa in an event known as the Sardine Run, the largest migration in the ocean. Individually, they are insignificant, but together, they form a superorganism stretching for kilometers. No leader, no command, yet they move as one. When attacked, the school reacts instantly, forming a spinning bait ball, each fish shifting position in constant motion. No single fish is in control. Each responds only to its neighbors, and from this emerges a collective intelligence. This is emergent intelligence, where no leader exists, yet the group behaves like a single mind. The lesson of the sardines is not brute strength in numbers. It is this: when individuals follow simple rules, the group becomes more intelligent than any single member. This is distributed intelligence at its largest scale, and nature has relied on it for millions of years. Dolphins are one of the few creatures in the ocean we still do not fully understand. They play without purpose. They help humans without training. They do things that suggest only one possibility: they feel something deeper. When faced with a mirror, dolphins recognize themselves, a trait shared by only a few species: great apes, elephants, and humans. Self-awareness is the first step toward consciousness. Once you know you exist, you can reflect on that existence. Dolphins reached this step long ago. Each dolphin has a unique, signature whistle, a name. They call each other, recognize one another, and remember these calls even after years apart. In an ocean without clear identity markers, individuality is preserved through sound. Dolphins have been observed helping other species, not their own kind, not for survival, simply because another being is in distress. Science struggles to define this behavior. Humans call it compassion. Perhaps the ocean discovered it long before we did. Green sea turtles can live over a century. In that lifetime, they travel thousands of kilometers. From Brazil to Ascension Island, over 2,200 kilometers, and return to the very beach where they were born. No maps, no GPS, only Earth's magnetic field, encoded into their DNA from the beginning. When a female turtle returns to lay her eggs, she comes back to the exact place she was born decades earlier. No guidance, no learned memory. This is genetic memory, information passed through generations over millions of years. coral reef is not a single organism. It is a city. Over 25% of all marine species live within reefs, though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor. This is symbiotic intelligence, the power of interdependence. When ocean temperatures rise by just 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, corals lose the algae that sustain them. Without it, they fade and die. And when corals die, entire ecosystems collapse. This is not a metaphor, it is happening now in real time. Every year, over 8 million tons of plastic enter the ocean. Plastic does not disappear. It breaks into smaller fragments, microplastics, and infiltrates the food chain. Right now, microplastics are inside fish, inside whales, and inside us. The ocean absorbs over 90% of excess heat from climate change. It is buffering the warming for us. But it has limits. As temperatures rise, currents shift, ecosystems collapse. When the ocean can no longer absorb the heat, we will feel the consequences. When an orca lineage disappears, its language disappears with it. Millions of years of intelligence vanish without record or recovery. Each extinction is a library burning, and too many libraries are being lost. More than 1/3 of coral species are threatened. Shark populations have declined by over 70% in the last 50 years. Sea turtles, survivors of the dinosaur era, now face extinction. We are living through the 6th mass extinction. And this time, the cause has a name: us. And yet, the ocean remains. It breathes. It reproduces. It adapts. Orcas still teach their young. Octopuses still solve problems we cannot imagine. The library of life is still open. The question is, are we paying attention? Humans are the only species capable of understanding other intelligences, and also the only one capable of destroying them. Yet we are also the only ones who can choose not to. That is a form of intelligence the ocean has not evolved, the intelligence of moral choice. Orcas say, cooperation is power. Sharks say, perfection is enough. Octopuses say, adapt and transform. Jellyfish say, simplicity endures. Sardines say, unity creates intelligence. Dolphins say, know who you are. Sea turtles say, remember where you belong. Intelligence has no single form. It is not just strength, speed, or a large brain. It is anything that allows you to survive, evolve, and leave something behind. Every hatchling carries the memory of millions of years. It does not know its name. It does not understand the ocean. But it knows where to go. And that is enough. Sometimes knowing the direction is the deepest form of intelligence. The Pacific existed long before humanity, and it will exist long after us. The question is not whether the ocean needs us. The question is whether we deserve to live alongside it. Earth, a planet of vast oceans. More than 70% of its surface is covered by water, and humanity has ventured across these seas for thousands of years. But not all waters are the same. Some narrow points hold the power to shape the fate of the world. These are straits, narrow natural corridors between landmasses. They connect oceans and form the lifelines of global shipping. Whoever controls these passages holds the keys to global trade and military power. Every day, thousands of ships carrying oil, goods, and food pass through these straits. Even a minor disruption can trigger energy crises and send global prices soaring. By definition, a strait is a long, narrow natural waterway between two landmasses, connecting two larger bodies of water. Unlike man-made canals, straits are formed by nature over millions of years, and that is what makes them irreplaceable. In this video, we will journey through the world's 10 most strategic straits. From the tropical waters of Malacca to the icy expanse of Bering, from calm seas to the most violent oceans on Earth. The journey begins now. The Strait of Malacca, often called Asia's choke point, located between the Malay Peninsula and Sumatra, it is the shortest route connecting the Indian Ocean to the Pacific. Stretching 805 kilometers, it is one of the longest straits in the world. At its narrowest point, it is only about 1.2 kilometers wide. Yet over 80,000 ships pass through each year, roughly 220 per day. It is the second busiest shipping lane in the world, after the English Channel. At its eastern gateway lies the port of Singapore, one of the busiest in the world. With no natural resources, Singapore built its wealth on this strategic position, a powerful lesson in modern geopolitics. Navigating Malacca is a serious challenge. Shallow waters, hidden shoals, and small islands make it dangerous. Heavy rain and dense fog reduce visibility, while complex currents and heavy traffic increase the risk of accidents. The Malacca Strait is a vital energy corridor for Asia. China, Japan, and South Korea rely heavily on oil imports from the Middle East through this route. Around 30% of global trade passes through this strait. Beyond natural hazards, Malacca has long been a hotspot for piracy. Today, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore conduct joint patrols to ensure security. However, geopolitical competition in this region continues to intensify. The Strait of Hormuz, the most critical energy artery on Earth. Located between the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf, it is the only gateway for Middle Eastern oil to reach global markets. Iran lies to the north, while the UAE and Oman sit to the south. Around 21 million barrels of oil pass through Hormuz every day, nearly 1/3 of global supply. This equals the entire daily consumption of the United States. No other choke point carries such economic weight. At its narrowest, Hormuz is only about 34 kilometers wide. Shipping lanes are divided into 2 3-kilometer channels with a buffer zone in between. However, its shallow depth, under 60 meters, makes it vulnerable to control or blockade. This is why Hormuz is one of the most volatile geopolitical hotspots. Iran has repeatedly threatened to close the strait, while the United States maintains a strong naval presence to ensure freedom of navigation. Even a small spark could escalate into a major conflict. Global markets react instantly to events in Hormuz. A single attack or threat can send oil prices soaring within hours. It is a clear example of how geography shapes the global economy. From a military geography perspective, Iran holds a major advantage with its long coastline and rugged terrain overlooking the strait. This makes Hormuz both a vital economic artery and one of the most dangerous choke points in the world. The Strait of Gibraltar, where Europe and Africa are just 14 kilometers apart at their closest point. It connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea and serves as an indirect gateway to the Indian Ocean via the Suez Canal. No other European strait holds such historical significance. With depths ranging from 300 to 900 meters, Gibraltar is much deeper than Hormuz or Malacca. Differences in salinity create two opposing currents. Atlantic water flows in at the surface, while denser Mediterranean water flows out below. Weather in Gibraltar can be harsh and unpredictable. Winds accelerate through the narrow passage, creating a tunnel effect. Combined with strong waves and currents, it becomes one of the most challenging maritime routes. In modern times, Gibraltar holds major military significance. Submarines can use natural currents to move silently without detection. This tactic played a crucial role during the Cold War between NATO and the Soviet Union. The Bosphorus is one of the few places on Earth where a major city spans two continents. Istanbul bridges Europe and Asia, with this legendary strait cutting through its heart. At its narrowest, it is only about 700 meters wide, narrower than many major rivers. The Bosphorus features a rare hydrological phenomenon, two opposing currents at different depths. Surface water from the Black Sea flows outward, while denser Mediterranean water flows inward below. This creates a complex and hazardous maritime environment. The Bosphorus runs through one of Turkey's most densely populated areas, making accidents extremely dangerous. Numerous collisions and groundings have occurred within the city itself. Each incident risks environmental disaster and threatens millions of people. West of the Bosphorus lies the Dardanelles, connecting the Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara. Strong currents make navigation difficult. The Bering Strait, a natural boundary between Eurasia and North America. Located between Russia and Alaska, it is about 85 kilometers wide and 30 to 50 meters deep. It is one of the harshest marine environments on Earth, frozen for much of the year. Winter in the Bering Strait is a survival challenge. Temperatures drop below -20 degrees Celsius, and ice covers most of the sea. Dense fog and sudden blizzards with extreme winds make navigation nearly impossible. Only specialized icebreakers can operate here. Climate change is reshaping the importance of the Bering Strait. As ice melts, Arctic shipping routes between Europe and Asia are becoming viable, reducing travel distance by up to 40% compared to the Suez route. With this new potential, tensions between Russia and the United States are rising. Both are increasing their military presence. The race to control the Arctic and its vast resources is turning the Bering Strait into a new geopolitical hotspot. The Danish Strait, also known as the Sund, connects northern European waters to the Atlantic. It stretches 480 kilometers, with a narrowest width of 290 kilometers, but a shallow depth of only about 12 meters. As a result, large vessels are restricted in draft when passing through. Today, the Danish Strait is known for the Øresund Bridge, a hybrid bridge and tunnel linking Copenhagen and Malmö. It stands as a testament to humanity's ability to adapt to and utilize strategic waterways. The English Channel is the busiest shipping lane in the world. It stretches 562 kilometers, with its narrowest point just 34 kilometers between Dover and Calais. It forms a natural boundary between Britain and mainland Europe. Another engineering marvel is the Channel Tunnel, completed in 1994. At 50 kilometers long, with 38 kilometers underwater, it is the longest subsea tunnel in the world, linking Britain and France in just a few hours. Weather in the English Channel is notoriously harsh. Dense fog, strong winds, and complex tidal patterns make navigation difficult. It features one of the most advanced maritime traffic control systems in the world. At the southern tip of South America lie two legendary straits, Magellan and Drake. The Strait of Magellan stretches 570 kilometers, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific through narrow channels and islands. It was discovered by Ferdinand Magellan in 1520 during the first circumnavigation of the globe. Magellan took 38 days to cross this strait under extreme conditions. Its width varies dramatically, Patagonia winds are fierce, and hidden rocks lie everywhere. For centuries, it was the only route between the two oceans without sailing around Africa. When the Panama Canal opened in 1914, the importance of the Magellan Strait declined. The artificial route is shorter and far safer. Today, Magellan is mostly of historical significance, though still used by ships too large for Panama. To the south lies the Drake Passage, the most dangerous sea on Earth. With no land to block the winds, Antarctic currents build immense power before funneling through. Waves over 10 meters and relentless storms are the norm. Cape Horn and the Drake Passage were the ultimate test for sailors in the Age of Sail. To pass, it was a mark of true mastery. Thousands of lives were lost in these waters. Even today, it remains a challenge for the most daring explorers. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, whose name in Arabic means Gate of Tears, located between Yemen, Djibouti, and Eritrea, it connects the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean and the Suez Canal. Without it, the Suez route would lose its significance. Currents in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait are strong and complex, especially during monsoon seasons. Winds from opposing directions generate large waves and turbulent waters. Shallow areas further increase navigational risks. Bab el-Mandeb and the Suez Canal form an interconnected system. Suez allows ships to bypass Africa, but Bab el-Mandeb is the gateway into the Red Sea. If either is disrupted, the entire Asia-Europe trade route is affected. Looking at the world map, strategic straits are not randomly placed. They exist where continents nearly meet, forming natural choke points that cannot be replaced. Each strait is unique, yet all carry immense geopolitical weight. Natural conditions define each strait's role. Hormuz is shallow and narrow, easy to control. Gibraltar is deep with powerful currents. Bering is frozen, yet opening new possibilities. Nature designed them, and humanity has adapted to each one. In today's globalized world, over 90% of international trade moves by sea. Much of it passes through strategic straits. Nearly everything we use daily is connected to these vital routes. Straits are more than geography, they are history, economics, war, and peace. They show how small places can shape the fate of billions. To understand these straits is to understand the world. Beneath the vast ocean lies an entirely different world, immense, mysterious, and filled with primal power. More than 70% of Earth's surface is covered by water, and much of it remains unexplored by humankind. Today, we dive below to meet the creatures that have ruled these seas for millions of years. When we think of sharks, most of us imagine fear, teeth, blood, and the haunting music of Jaws. But the truth is far more complex and more fascinating than any movie ever made. Let us introduce the ocean's big five shark species that shape the underwater world. First is the great white shark, the ultimate symbol of ocean power. Reaching lengths of 6 meters and weighing over 2 tons, it is one of the most impressive predators on Earth. It can launch itself from the water at astonishing speed, a leap driven by perfect instinct. Next is the whale shark, the largest fish in the world, reaching lengths of up to 18 meters. Despite its immense size, it is among the gentlest creatures in the sea. Instead of sharp teeth, it uses its wide mouth to filter thousands of liters of water each hour, feeding only on tiny plankton. Hammerhead sharks, with their T-shaped heads, possess one of nature's most unique designs. They often travel in schools of hundreds, even thousands, creating a rare and spectacular sight. Their wide head is not just unusual looking, it also helps them scan a larger area for prey. The tiger shark bears distinctive stripes like a warning from nature. It is a famous opportunistic feeder, willing to swallow almost anything, from sea turtles to soda cans. It is considered potentially dangerous to humans, but that does not mean it hunts people. Last in the big five is the bull shark, often considered the most dangerous to humans. Unlike its relatives, it can survive in both saltwater and freshwater, and has been found hundreds of kilometers inland. This adaptability brings it into contact with humans more than any other shark species. Swimming with a whale shark requires no cage, something that surprises many people the first time they hear it. These giants are completely indifferent to humans, continuing to move at their own calm rhythm. The moment one glides beside you becomes a memory that never fades. In 1975, the film Jaws by Steven Spielberg forever changed how humanity viewed sharks. In the weeks after its release, beach attendance dropped sharply in many parts of the world. One movie created a global fear, and sadly, that fear still survives today. The truth is that worldwide, sharks attack around 70 to 80 people per year, with only a small number of fatalities. In that same time, cars kill more than 1.3 million people, and wasps kill more people than sharks each year. Yet we fear sharks more than cars, showing how irrationally the human brain processes fear. When sharks approach humans, the first thing they usually do is observe, not attack. A shark's brain is not structured for planning hunts in the way many people imagine. Most encounters with humans come from curiosity, much like how we inspect something unfamiliar. Most great white shark attacks on surfers are cases of mistaken identity. From below, The silhouette of a surfer on a board closely resembles a seal, one of the shark's preferred prey. In murky water, they make rapid decisions, and sometimes those decisions are wrong. What is striking is that in most attacks, the shark bites once and then leaves immediately. This is not the behavior of a predator feeding, but a test bite used to investigate something unfamiliar. Once it realizes the target is not normal prey, it loses interest and swims away. The lifetime chance of being attacked by a shark is about 1 in 11.5 million. By comparison, the chance of being struck by lightning in a single year is nearly twice that. The risk of drowning at sea is far higher, yet few people fear swimming because of it. Modern shark researchers spend thousands of hours underwater without incident. Sylvia Earle, one of the world's greatest oceanographers, has swum freely with great white sharks many times. She once said they looked at her with the same curiosity she felt toward them. Certain behaviors greatly increase the chance of encountering sharks, and most are avoidable. Swimming at night or at dusk, when sharks actively feed, is among the riskiest choices. Being near schools of fish, wearing bright colors, or entering the water while bleeding are also factors to avoid. Fear of sharks is largely learned, not instinctive, and that means it can be changed. Children exposed early to accurate information often develop respect instead of fear. Understanding sharks properly not only makes us safer, but also helps us protect them more effectively. Every summer, billions of people swim, surf, and dive in the ocean, and most will never encounter a shark. The sea is not a hostile realm where humans are constantly hunted. It is a shared home where mutual respect creates safety for both sides. The great white shark is the pinnacle of predatory evolution, a hunting machine refined over millions of years. It does not just have teeth, but multiple rows that constantly replace themselves, totaling up to 30,000 in a lifetime. Each tooth is as sharp as a surgical blade and perfectly designed for tearing flesh. The preferred prey of the great white shark includes seals, sea lions, and other marine mammals rich in fat. They are not indiscriminate feeders, but professional hunters with clear and consistent preferences. Humans, with little body fat and awkward movement, are not appealing prey to them. Unlike most fish, the great white shark can maintain a body temperature higher than the surrounding water. A specialized heat exchange system keeps its muscles, brain, and eyes warmer than the cold sea. This allows it to hunt efficiently even in icy waters, an extraordinary evolutionary advantage. Great white sharks are epic travelers, with some individuals recorded moving more than 20,000 kilometers in a single journey. They cross the Pacific from California to Hawaii and then to Australia as if the ocean were their backyard. These migrations remain mysterious, and scientists are still trying to understand why and where they go. The hunting technique of the great white shark is proof of nature's raw speed and power. It strikes upward from below at speeds reaching 40 kilometers per hour, with enough momentum to launch completely out of the water. The entire attack lasts only seconds, ending before you can understand what happened. Sharks possess a sense humans completely lack, the ability to detect bioelectric fields. Tiny organs called ampullae of Lorenzini on the snout sense faint electrical pulses from a prey animal's heartbeat. This allows sharks to locate living creatures even when hidden under sand or in total darkness. Great white sharks reproduce slowly, with females carrying young for around 12 months and giving birth to only 2 to 10 pups at a time. Newborns are fully independent, about 1.2 meters long, and must swim off immediately to survive. This low reproductive rate makes their populations highly vulnerable to overfishing. Although they are the most studied shark species, great white sharks still hold countless mysteries. We do not know where they mate, and no one has ever observed them giving birth in the wild. The ocean still keeps its secrets, and the great white shark guards them well. If the great white shark symbolizes power, then the whale shark symbolizes peaceful magnificence. Their average length is 10 to 12 meters, but the largest individuals can reach 18 meters. The white spots and stripes on each body are unique, much like human fingerprints. A whale shark's mouth can open up to 1.5 meters wide, large enough to swallow a person, yet its throat is only the size of a tennis ball. It uses its gills as a giant filter, processing thousands of liters of water every hour to trap plankton and small fish. It is perfect proof that enormous size does not always mean aggression. Swimming with whale sharks is one of the world's most sought-after ecotourism experiences today. In Donsol and Ningaloo Reef, visitors line up for a chance to meet these gentle giants. A single living whale shark can generate more than $2 million in economic value for local communities over its lifetime. Do not let their gentle appearance fool you. Whale sharks also display mysterious behavior. They can dive to depths of 1,800 meters, an astonishing feat for such a massive creature. Scientists are still trying to understand why they dive so deep and what food sources exist there. The basking shark is the second largest fish in the world, surpassed only by the whale shark, yet far fewer people know about it. Like its giant relative, it feeds on plankton by filtering seawater with its mouth wide open. Its name comes from its habit of swimming near the surface on sunny days, as if basking in the sun. Hammerhead sharks possess one of the most unique head shapes in nature, a flattened structure spread wide across the front. This unusual design is highly effective, generating lift in the water like an airplane wing. It also widens the spacing between the eyes, allowing them to scan a larger area for prey. The wide head of the hammerhead shark gives it an extraordinary electrosensory advantage while hunting. Receptors spread across the surface create an extremely sensitive scanning system. They can detect stingrays hidden beneath sand and pin them down using their hammer-shaped head. Tiger sharks are among the most opportunistic feeders in the ocean, with stomachs that have contained plastic cans and car tires. This is not dirty eating, but a survival strategy of exploiting every opportunity. In ecosystems, their scavenging role helps prevent disease from spreading through carcasses. The relationship between tiger sharks and seagrass is a beautiful example of ecological chain reactions. When tiger sharks are present, sea turtles avoid grazing too long in one place, allowing seagrass meadows to recover evenly. Without tiger sharks, turtles may overgraze the habitat and trigger ecosystem collapse. Bull sharks are among the best adapted sharks to the human world because they can survive in both saltwater and freshwater. They have been recorded in the Mississippi River, the Amazon River, and even Lake Nicaragua. This unusual ability brings them into contact with humans more often, which is why they are often considered among the most dangerous sharks. In any ecosystem, removing the apex of the food chain creates devastating consequences. Sharks regulate the populations of the species they hunt, preventing explosions in numbers and preserving delicate balance. Without sharks, prey species multiply uncontrollably and begin destroying their own resources. Research on coral islands in the Pacific Ocean shows that reefs are healthier where sharks are present. Sharks remove weak and diseased fish, reduce the spread of disease, and keep grazing fish moving. As a result, marine plants and corals grow more evenly, creating a more diverse and resilient ecosystem. In the 1970s, overfishing sharply reduced shark populations along the northeastern coast of the United States. In the following decades, rays, natural prey of sharks, exploded in number and devastated the scallop fishing industry. It is one of the clearest real-world examples of what happens when sharks are removed from the equation. The ocean absorbs around 30% of human-generated CO2 emissions and produces more than 50% of the oxygen we breathe. Ocean health is not only about marine life, it directly affects the global climate. When marine food webs are disrupted by the loss of sharks, the ocean's ability to absorb carbon also declines. Every year, around 100 million sharks are killed by humans, mostly through overfishing and finning. Meanwhile, sharks kill only about 5 to 10 people globally each year. If this were a war, humanity would be winning overwhelmingly, and that is not good for anyone on this planet. Shark finning is one of the cruelest practices in the fishing industry. Fishermen catch sharks, cut off their fins while they are still alive, then throw them back into the sea where they die unable to swim or breathe. All of it is done to supply shark fin soup, a dish with little nutritional value but a symbol of luxury. Some shark species have lost more than 70 to 90% of their populations over the past 50 years, an almost unprecedented rate of decline. Great white shark, scalloped hammerhead shark, and many others are now listed on the red list of IUCN. With slow reproduction rates, population collapse can take decades to reverse, if recovery is even possible. But not everything is bleak. Around the world, conservation efforts are creating real change. Many nations have declared shark sanctuaries where all shark fishing is prohibited. Studies show shark populations can recover when given the chance. Nature is more resilient than we often imagine. The next generation will decide the future of sharks, and that begins with understanding, not fear. When a child sees sharks as magnificent creatures instead of monsters, they grow up wanting to protect them. That is why proper education about the ocean and its inhabitants is never wasted. Looking into the eye of a shark is unforgettable. Behind it stands a creature shaped by 450 million years of evolution. They survived 5 mass extinctions, enduring when dinosaurs could not. It would be a tragic irony if a species that survived geological catastrophe were pushed to the edge by us. Every consumer choice we make sends a clear signal to the global seafood industry. Choose sustainably certified seafood, avoid restaurants serving shark fin soup, and reject shark-derived squalene. Small actions multiplied by millions of people create enough pressure to transform an entire industry. The movement to protect sharks is growing worldwide, supported by both the scientific community and the public. From bans on shark fin trade in many nations to the expansion of international marine sanctuaries. Slowly but surely, humanity's understanding of the importance of sharks is changing for the better. An ocean with sharks is a healthy ocean, full of life, complexity, and miraculous balance. An ocean without sharks is a sick ocean, out of control, stripped of diversity, and unable to support life. We need sharks not because they are helpless, but because we need a planet that remains livable. Sharks do not need us to fear them, nor to worship them. They only need us to let them exist. Understanding sharks is the first step toward protecting them, and protecting them means protecting the ocean, the climate, and the future. Sharks lived in the seas before trees grew on land. Let us ensure they are still there when our descendants grow up. Beneath the vast ocean lies a completely different world, vibrant, mysterious, and full of life. These are tropical coral reefs, among the richest ecosystems on the planet. Our journey into the hidden world of the ocean begins here. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet they provide shelter for more than 25% of all marine species on Earth. Every hidden corner and every narrow crevice contains its own story. This is the busiest city humanity never built. This is the nudibranch, a tiny sea slug whose beauty rivals any creature on land. Its brilliant colors are not for decoration, but a clear warning to predators. Do not make the mistake of trying to eat me. Nudibranch possess an extraordinary ability. They absorb toxins from the very prey they consume. Fire coral, toxic sponges, even the stinging cells of sea anemones. These poisons accumulate inside their bodies, turning them into dangerously toxic prey themselves. Nature has given this tiny creature a powerful weapon. Look carefully at this rock. Can you see anything? Hidden within it is one of the most intelligent creatures beneath the sea, the octopus. In a fraction of a second, it can transform both color and skin texture, disappearing seamlessly into its surroundings. This is camouflage perfected. Octopuses are not only masters of camouflage, but also elite ambush predators. With 8 flexible arms and a nervous system spread throughout the body, they can solve problems, open jars, and even recognize human faces. An animal without bones, yet gifted with astonishing intelligence. Corals may appear plant-like, but they are actually colonies of millions of tiny animals called polyps. Over thousands of years, they construct structures more immense than any architecture humanity has ever built. Corals are the silent architects of the ocean. At night, coral polyps truly awaken. They extend their tiny tentacles to capture plankton drifting through the currents. Each individual polyp is no larger than a fingertip, yet together they build coral reefs stretching for thousands of kilometers. Among the deadly venomous tentacles of the sea anemone swims a creature completely unharmed, the clownfish. A special layer of mucus covering its skin protects it from toxins that would kill most other marine animals. It is a living pass into one of the ocean's safest fortresses. This is not a one-sided relationship. Clownfish defend the anemone by chasing away butterfly fish that feed on its delicate tentacles. In return, the anemone provides shelter and leftover food. In the vast ocean, survival sometimes depends not on fighting, but on finding the right partner. At special cleaning stations across the reef, tiny fish provide cleaning services for much larger species. The larger fish arrive, open their mouths, and allow the cleaners to remove parasites from their skin, gills, and even teeth. It is a perfect silent agreement, food exchanged for health. A healthy coral reef is not simply a place where the strong dominate the weak. It is a delicate network of interdependence. Every species plays a role: cleaners, algae controllers, protectors, builders. If even one link disappears, the entire system can begin to collapse. Butterfly fish, with their delicate stripes and markings, resemble living watercolor paintings beneath the sea. But their beauty carries a deeper scientific meaning. Their presence or disappearance is one of the clearest indicators of coral reef health. Butterfly fish feed on coral polyps and are highly sensitive to both water quality and reef condition. When coral reefs begin to decline, butterfly fish are often among the first species to disappear. Scientists call them the canaries in the coal mine, early warning signals of an ecosystem in distress. Angelfish truly deserve their heavenly name. With flowing fins and colors as vivid as woven Persian carpets, they glide through the reef with unmistakable elegance. Yet beneath that royal beauty lies an essential ecological purpose. Angelfish feed on sponges and organisms growing across coral surfaces, preventing them from overwhelming and suffocating coral polyps. Without angelfish, sponges would spread across the reef like weeds in an abandoned garden. They are the silent gardeners of the ocean. Look closely at the parrotfish's remarkable mouth, as hard and powerful as a parrot's beak, capable of crushing coral rock itself. These fish feed on algae growing across coral surfaces, but while doing so, they also grind pieces of coral into their digestive systems. What happens next is truly extraordinary. After digestion, parrotfish release fine white sand. A single adult parrotfish can produce nearly 100 kilograms of sand every year. The famous white beaches of Maldives, Hawaii, and Thailand owe much of their beauty to these anonymous underwater sand makers. Seahorses are among the strangest creatures nature has ever created. They swim using a rapidly vibrating dorsal fin, steer with tiny pectoral fins, and anchor themselves to coral using a curled prehensile tail. Everything about them feels as though they were designed by an engineer experimenting with impossible ideas. Yet the strangest fact about seahorses is this: the male becomes pregnant. The female deposits her eggs into the male's pouch, where he carries them for 2 to 4 weeks before giving birth to hundreds of tiny offspring. It is one of the very few animal species in which the father truly gives birth. Few creatures combine beauty and danger as perfectly as the lionfish. Its long, radiating spines spread like the feathers of a royal peacock, creating an appearance both mesmerizing and surreal. Yet hidden within each spine is venom capable of inflicting intense pain and, in rare cases, life-threatening reactions. Native to the Indo-Pacific, lionfish invaded the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, likely after being accidentally released from aquariums by humans. In these new waters, they face almost no natural predators and reproduce at an explosive rate. Within only a few decades, lionfish have become one of the most serious threats to native marine ecosystems. If the ocean had dancers, manta rays would surely be the stars of the stage. With wingspans reaching up to 7 meters, they glide through the water as though flying through the sky, slow, graceful, and completely harmless. They are among the gentlest giants of the sea. Manta rays regularly visit coral reef cleaning stations, where tiny fish remove parasites from their skin and even from inside their enormous mouths. Despite their massive size, they patiently remain still for minutes at a time while being cleaned. Even the largest creatures in the ocean sometimes need care from others. This is the ocean sunfish, or mola mola, the heaviest bony fish on Earth, capable of weighing more than 2 tons. Its strange appearance makes it seem as though someone removed its tail and never finished the design. In the open ocean, it drifts like a giant floating head beneath the waves. Ocean sunfish often drift sideways near the surface, giving rise to the name sunfish, as though they were basking beneath the sun. In reality, they are allowing seabirds and cleaner fish to remove thousands of parasites from their skin. Sometimes the most effective solution is simply to stay still and accept help from others. Sleek shadows cut through the waves as a pod of dolphins hunts its prey. They work together using sophisticated strategies. Some herd fish into tight circles while others guard the edges. This perfect coordination depends on constant communication through whistles, echolocation, and even individual names. Dolphins are among the few animals capable of recognizing themselves in a mirror, a sign of self-awareness. They play, express emotion, and sometimes swim beside human boats simply out of curiosity or joy. In an ocean defined by survival and competition, these are creatures that seem to live for more than survival alone. Far from the tropics lies an entirely different kind of forest, the giant kelp forests of cold oceans. These enormous algae can grow up to 45 meters tall, forming vast underwater canopies beneath the sea. As sunlight filters through them, the scene becomes dreamlike and almost otherworldly. Kelp forests are the kingdom of the sea otter. Floating on their backs, they use stones as tools to crack open sea urchins, shellfish, and crabs. They are so skillful that mothers even teach their pups how to use tools, one of the rare examples of cultural behavior in marine animals. Elephant seals can weigh up to 2,000 kilograms and dive deeper than 1,500 meters while holding their breath for nearly 2 hours. At such depths, water pressure would crush a human instantly. But for an elephant seal, it is simply another routine hunt for food. During breeding season, male elephant seals gather on beaches to battle for dominance. Fierce fights between these multi-ton giants can continue for hours. The victor earns control over an entire harem of females, while the defeated must wait another year for a second chance. Emerging from the icy waters of the Arctic, the narwhal seems like a creature born from legend. Its spiraled tusk, reaching up to 3 meters long and actually an elongated tooth piercing through the upper lip, once convinced medieval Europeans that unicorns were real. This is the true unicorn of the sea. The narwhal's tusk contains millions of sensory nerve endings capable of detecting changes in temperature, pressure, and salinity. Rather than a weapon, it functions as a sophisticated sensory instrument that helps narwhals navigate and hunt beneath Arctic ice. Sometimes nature creates technologies humanity has not yet imagined. But the vibrant world we have just explored now faces threats unlike anything in its history. When ocean temperatures rise by only 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, corals become stressed and expel the symbiotic algae living inside them. Without these algae, corals lose both their color and their energy source, a phenomenon known as coral bleaching, now occurring more frequently across the world's oceans. Every year, more than 8 million tons of plastic enter the ocean. These plastics break apart into microplastics small enough for plankton to consume. From there, they move through the food chain into fish, seabirds, whales, and eventually back onto our own dinner plates. In the Arctic, ancient ice that survived for thousands of years is melting at an unprecedented rate. Narwhal are losing their habitat, while polar bears are losing their hunting grounds. Even more dangerously, melting ice releases vast amounts of methane trapped for millennia, accelerating the cycle of climate change even further. Overfishing is driving many fish species toward collapse before they can reproduce enough to sustain their populations. More than 90% of the ocean's large fish have disappeared compared to just 50 years ago. The giants that once ruled the seas are now reduced to products on supermarket shelves. Yet this is not a story of tragedy alone. In well-protected marine reserves, coral reefs can recover within decades, and fish populations rebound when fishing pressure is reduced. Nature possesses an extraordinary ability to heal if humanity allows it the chance. The ocean is not merely the backdrop of life. It is life itself. It produces more than half of the oxygen we breathe, regulates the planet's climate, and sustains billions of people around the world. Every small choice we make, what we eat, use, or throw away, sends ripples down to the deepest parts of the sea. The only question is, will those ripples destroy or heal? At the very top of the earth lies a place few humans have ever set foot on. A realm of cold, vastness, and mystery. Sealed beneath ice for millions of years. This is the Arctic, one of the last untouched frontiers of our planet. From a distance, the Arctic appears empty. No people, no sound. But this is only an illusion. Beneath the silence lies a world of astonishing life. A complex ecosystem moving to its own rhythm, relentless and unbroken. Ice here is more than frozen water. It is a living force, shifting, expanding, and constantly transforming. Winter temperatures fall to -40 degrees, cold enough to freeze breath in the air. And yet, life still finds a way to survive and grow. Time in the Arctic does not move as it does elsewhere on Earth. Winter stretches into months of complete darkness, without a single ray of sunlight. Then summer arrives and light returns, unbroken, 24 hours a day. The midnight sun is one of nature's most extraordinary gifts. For weeks at a time, the sun never dips below the horizon, bathing the world in endless light. Life here has adapted to this rhythm over thousands of years of evolution. To truly understand the Arctic, we must let go of everything we know about nature in gentler lands. This is a different language, one of ice, darkness, and vast silence. Step into this world and discover the secrets it still holds. Ice in the Arctic is never still. It behaves like a living body, drifting with currents and wind. Massive sheets fracture, collide, and rise into towering ridges of ice. The groaning and thunder of breaking ice form the Arctic's constant soundtrack, both majestic and unsettling. Up close, the ice reveals itself as a work of natural art. Cracks trace perfect geometric patterns, each one a record of temperature and pressure. Frozen air bubbles beneath the surface carry samples of ancient atmospheres, preserving thousands of years of Earth's climate history. Most of an iceberg's power lies hidden beneath the surface. The origin of the phrase, "just the tip of the iceberg." A towering mass may rise 50 meters above water, while extending 200 meters below. Its deep turquoise color is born from light absorbed in the depths, a beauty shaped by nature itself. From beneath the water, the underside of the ice becomes another world, light filtering through layers in shimmering blue waves. Here live countless tiny organisms, algae, crustaceans, and larvae clinging to the ice. They form the foundation of the entire Arctic food web, sustaining everything from small fish to great whales. As spring arrives, temperatures rise and the ice begins to melt, forming pools of water across its surface. Meltwater flows into narrow channels, then gathers into temporary rivers winding across the white expanse. It is a signal that summer is coming, a great awakening after months of darkness. When massive ice blocks break and collapse into the ocean, the sound echoes like thunder. Each melting fragment marks an ending and the beginning of a new journey beneath the sea. Destruction and renewal exist side by side, the eternal rhythm of the Arctic. But not all melting is part of a natural cycle. Something is changing. In just a few decades, Arctic sea ice has shrunk dramatically, faster than any model predicted. The heart of the Arctic is slowing, and we can no longer afford to ignore it. In the depths of winter darkness, the Arctic sky ignites with ribbons of color. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, moves like vast curtains drifting in a cosmic wind. It is one of the greatest natural wonders our planet can offer. Science explains the aurora as charged particles from the sun colliding with Earth's atmosphere. Colors shift with altitude and gases: green from oxygen, red from nitrogen, violet from hydrogen. Yet even with explanation, the aurora holds something beyond the reach of reason. Inuit and other Arctic peoples have lived beneath the aurora for thousands of years. To them, it is not just a physical phenomenon. It is the spirits of their ancestors dancing in the sky. These stories remind us that nature carries meanings beyond what science can fully explain. Then the darkness fades, and light returns in a way only the Arctic can create. The sun hovers at the horizon, casting a twilight that lingers for weeks. Golden light spreads across the frozen expanse, an endless afternoon, quietly breathtaking. Spring light awakens the entire Arctic ecosystem. A mother polar bear leads her newborn cubs out of their den for the first time, their eyes squinting in the brightness. Their lives begin in that moment, a new chapter in the Arctic's endless cycle. Light in the Arctic plays strange tricks, deceiving even the most experienced explorers. The phenomenon known as fata morgana creates mirages, floating castles, distant islands, ships suspended in air. For centuries, these illusions have misled travelers, turning the Arctic into a realm where reality and illusion blur. When the aurora fades, another spectacle begins. A night sky untouched by light pollution. The Milky Way stretches from horizon to horizon, billions of stars shimmering like dusted diamonds. Standing beneath it, one feels more than ever how small we are within the universe. Beneath meters of solid ice lies a world few human eyes have ever seen. The Arctic Ocean, dark, frigid, and under immense pressure, is a place where life flourishes in extraordinary ways. It is one of the richest marine regions on Earth, sustained by warmer currents from the south. In spring, as the ice recedes, sunlight floods the ocean after months of darkness. Algae bloom within days, a feast that ignites the entire food chain. Millions of fish gather into vast shoals stretching for kilometers, one of the ocean's most breathtaking spectacles. Beluga whales, often called the canaries of the sea, are true natives of the Arctic. Their white color serves not only as camouflage but also as an adaptation to extreme cold. They communicate through complex sounds that travel vast distances beneath the dark ocean. The bowhead whale is the largest animal capable of living year-round in the Arctic, and among the most intelligent in the ocean. Its skull is strong enough to break through ice up to 60 centimeters thick to breathe. With lifespans exceeding 200 years, some individuals may have swum beneath ice that no longer exists today. In the dark depths of the Arctic seabed live creatures still not fully understood by science. Arctic octopuses survive near freezing temperatures, their blood containing special proteins that prevent their cells from freezing. It is a perfect example of evolution's brilliance. Life always finds a way to endure. The lion's mane jellyfish, the largest in the world, drifts through the cold Arctic seas. Its bell can exceed 2 meters, with tentacles stretching up to 30 meters, longer than a blue whale. Floating silently in the dark, it captures prey with venomous strands, like living meteors of the ocean. From beneath the ocean, the ice above becomes a second sky, a ceiling of frozen light. It is a reversed world, where above and below lose their meaning. And within this strange inversion, life finds its own balance and harmony. At the top of the Arctic food chain stands a creature perfected over millions of years, the polar bear. Weighing up to 700 kilograms, with thick fat and insulating fur, it is the apex predator of the frozen world. Yet beneath its power lies remarkable intelligence and a complex social life. The polar bear's primary hunting method demands extraordinary patience. It can wait motionless beside a breathing hole for hours. When a seal surfaces, the strike is instant, precise, decisive, final. This is survival as an art, passed from mother to cub over thousands of years. Polar bears are powerful swimmers, capable of traveling hundreds of kilometers in icy waters. For the first 2 years, a mother teaches her cub everything it needs to survive. It is a bond of care and devotion, not unlike how humans raise their young. Ringed seals are among the most vital links in the Arctic ecosystem, prey for polar bears and sustenance for many others. Their thick blubber insulates them from near-freezing waters and stores energy for winter. By maintaining multiple breathing holes, they ensure a constant escape route. Musk oxen are living remnants of the Ice Age, once roaming alongside mammoths. Their dense coat is a natural insulator, finer than cashmere and exceptionally warm. Their defensive circle formation is ancient, an instinct written deep into their DNA. Each year, caribou undertake one of the largest land migrations on Earth, hundreds of thousands traveling vast distances. Guided by ancient instinct, they move without maps or compass. The thunder of their hooves echoes across the land, a symbol of collective strength. The Arctic fox embodies perfect adaptation. White in winter, brown-gray in summer. It can endure temperatures as low as -70 degrees without shivering, its body finely tuned to conserve heat. These small creatures are powerful reminders of life's resilience. Arctic summer transforms coastal cliffs into the busiest cities on Earth. Millions of seabirds crowd every ledge, while whales, seals, and bears gather to exploit the abundance of food. It is the Arctic's great summer feast, a brief but powerful explosion of life before winter returns. The walrus, with tusks up to 1 meter long and weighing as much as 2 tons, is one of the Arctic's most imposing animals. They gather in massive herds, crowding ice and shorelines to rest and stay warm. Their tusks serve not only as weapons, but as tools for climbing, status symbols, and instruments of survival. Orcas, or killer whales, are the ocean's most intelligent predators. Even polar bears avoid them in open water. They hunt in coordinated groups, using complex strategies to surround and share prey. Orcas possess culture. Each pod has its own language and hunting techniques, passed down through generations. All of these creatures converge at a single place, the ice edge, where frozen sea meets open water. It is the Arctic's most vital ecological boundary, rich in nutrients and life. Disrupt this fragile line, and the entire ecosystem begins to collapse. A chain reaction with no clear end. This is an image no one wants to see. A polar bear stranded on a shrinking piece of ice in a vast ocean. It depends on ice to hunt, to reproduce, to survive, and that ice is vanishing faster than it can adapt. This is not the story of one animal. It is the story of an entire world collapsing. The data does not lie. The Arctic is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. Average January temperatures have risen by more than 3 degrees Celsius in just 50 years. Each degree means millions of square kilometers of ice lost, species pushed to the brink, and food chains disrupted. As permafrost thaws, it releases vast amounts of methane trapped for thousands of years. Methane is up to 80 times more potent than CO2 in the short term, creating a dangerous feedback loop. It is a climate time bomb, once triggered, nearly impossible to stop. Climate change in the Arctic is not just environmental. It is a humanitarian crisis. Inuit communities are losing their homes, culture, and way of life built over thousands of years. Rising seas, shifting land, and disappearing wildlife are erasing a familiar world within a single generation. Ironically, melting ice is opening new shipping routes, cutting thousands of kilometers from global trade. Nations and corporations rush to exploit resources once locked beneath ice. The question is, are we burning our own house just to stay warm? Scientists are working tirelessly to understand what is happening. Each ice core is a page in Earth's climate history. Ancient air trapped in ice reveals the past. And the data tells a troubling story. The current rate of change has not been seen in at least 2 million years. This bear does not know where it is going. It only follows instinct, searching for what once was always there. But the ice is gone, and no one can explain why. In this moment, the silence of nature speaks louder than any human warning. But the story of the Arctic is not over, and there are those still fighting to rewrite its ending. Indigenous communities, scientists, and activists are working together, blending traditional knowledge with modern technology. They believe that if humanity created this problem, it also holds the power to solve it. Each spring, new cubs are born, curious, playful, and full of life in a world they do not yet understand. They are the embodiment of hope, life continuing despite overwhelming challenges. The question is not whether they want to survive, but whether we will give them the chance. Earth, the only blue planet in the known universe. 71% of its surface lies beneath water. And within those vast oceans, the largest creatures on Earth are alive and thriving. From where sunlight still reaches, to the absolute darkness thousands of meters below, The ocean is a layered world, each level holding its own secrets. Our journey begins here. Humans have walked on the moon, yet more than 80% of the ocean floor remains unexplored. It is an uncharted world on our own planet. What lies beneath is still waiting to be discovered. The ocean is not silent. It resonates with ancient sounds millions of years old. The calls of giants travel for hundreds of kilometers, a language humanity is still trying to understand. They are the largest, most mysterious, and most essential creatures in the ocean ecosystem. Not monsters, but vital links in a delicate balance. Today, we meet them. "30 meters in length, 180 tons. The blue whale is the largest animal ever to exist in Earth's history, larger than any Tyrannosaurus rex. And it still swims in our oceans today. His heart weighs nearly 180 kilograms, about the size of a small car. Each slow beat pumps hundreds of liters of blood through its body. A child could crawl through its aorta. Yeah. 4 tons of krill each day. That is the diet of a blue whale during feeding season. The largest creature on Earth survives on shrimp no bigger than a finger. A perfect paradox of nature. The call of a blue whale is the loudest sound produced by any animal, capable of traveling over 1,600 kilometers. In the quiet oceans of the pre-industrial era, they could hear each other across entire ocean basins. Every year, blue whales migrate thousands of kilometers, from cold, nutrient-rich waters to warmer breeding grounds. They need no maps, no GPS. Earth's magnetic field is their compass. "12 meters, 12 tons. The whale shark is the largest fish in the world, yet it is not a predator. Its mouth, over a meter wide, filters tiny plankton from the water. Immense power serving a gentle diet. No 2 whale sharks share the same pattern of white spots, much like human fingerprints. Scientists use these patterns to identify individuals. Thousands have been cataloged this way around the world. Despite being the largest fish, we still do not know where whale sharks reproduce. No one has ever observed them mating or giving birth in the wild. Their long, mysterious journeys remain an unsolved scientific puzzle. Gentle does not mean safe. Whale sharks are threatened by ships, fishing nets, and plastic pollution. The largest animals in the ocean are among the most vulnerable to human impact. No marine creature performs like the humpback whale. They launch their entire 36-ton bodies out of the water for a brief moment. Why they do this remains a mystery to science. Male humpbacks sing for hours, sometimes an entire day without pause. Their songs are complex, structured, and change with the seasons. Scientists believe this may be one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom outside humans. They hunt in groups using advanced strategies, creating circular bubble nets from below to trap fish into dense clusters. Then they surge upward together with open mouths. This is complex cooperative behavior requiring precise coordination. Humpback whales have been observed intervening to protect other species under attack, even those unrelated to them. This behavior remains debated in science. Some researchers describe it as a form of empathy. For 100 million years of evolution have shaped a perfect predator. The great white shark sits at the top of the ocean food chain, with no natural enemies, except one formidable rival, the orca. They can detect a drop of blood in 1 million liters of water. They sense the electrical fields of prey through specialized organs on their snout. And they can hear prey moving from hundreds of meters away in the dark. Hunting strategy: swim below in darkness, observing the silhouette of prey against the light above. Then accelerate vertically at speeds up to 40 kilometers per hour. The prey has no chance to detect the threat. Movies have painted a false image. Great white sharks do not actively hunt humans. Attacks are usually cases of curiosity or mistaken identity. Humans kill millions of sharks each year, while sharks bite only dozens of people. Who is the real threat? Though called killer whales, orcas are actually the largest members of the dolphin family. 9 meters long, 6 tons in weight. Yet what makes them formidable is not size, but intelligence. Orcas hunt using complex strategies, coordinating as a group, sometimes pretending to leave before surrounding prey. They create waves to knock seals off ice. This is hunting culture passed down through generations. Different orca pods communicate using distinct calls, like regional dialects. An orca can recognize its pod from kilometers away by sound alone. This is clear evidence of culture in the animal world. Orcas are the only predators that great white sharks truly fear. They flip sharks upside down, triggering a natural paralysis known as tonic immobility, then consume the nutrient-rich liver while the prey remains alive. 2,000 meters below the surface. Pressure 200 times greater than at sea level. In complete darkness, the sperm whale dives here to hunt, staying for up to 90 minutes without breathing. The sperm whale's brain can weigh up to 9 kilograms, the largest in the animal kingdom. With such a brain, what do they perceive? What do they understand? These are questions science has yet to answer. At depths of 1,000 meters, in absolute darkness, battles unfold unseen. Sperm whales confront giant squid up to 13 meters long. The evidence remains, deep scars from suction cups etched into their skin. When a whale dies and sinks to the seafloor, it creates an entire ecosystem known as a whale fall. Hundreds of species depend on it for decades. Even in death, they sustain the ocean. With a wingspan of 7 meters, yet moving as gently as a leaf in the wind. The giant manta ray is one of the most graceful creatures in the ocean, calm, unhurried, and non-aggressive. It moves with the rhythm of the currents. Manta rays have the largest brain-to-body ratio among fish, a sign of high intelligence. They are curious, capable of self-recognition, and even playful behavior. Not all ocean life thinks in simple ways. Manta rays know where the cleaning stations are, coral reefs where small fish remove parasites. They line up, extend their wings, and allow the fish to clean them. A perfectly organized service system in nature. Why such a strange head shape? Millions of years of evolution do not create anything without purpose. The hammer-shaped head spreads electroreceptors, allowing them to detect prey hidden beneath the sand with unmatched precision. Stingrays buried in sand may seem safe, but not to hammerheads. The heartbeat of their prey is clearly detected. The shark lowers its head, scans the seabed, and pins the prey to the sand. Hammerhead sharks are among the few shark species that form large schools, sometimes hundreds or even thousands. By day they gather, by night they disperse to hunt alone. A mysterious social pattern still under scientific study. Here, water temperatures drop below -1 degree Celsius, yet life persists. The Arctic Ocean is one of the harshest environments on Earth, but it is far from lifeless. It is filled with remarkably adapted life. Beluga whales lack fused neck vertebrae, allowing them to turn their heads like humans. They communicate with dozens of sounds, whistles, clicks, and calls. Ancient sailors called them sea canaries for these vocalizations. Bowhead whales can live over 200 years, longer than any other mammal. Some have been found with ancient harpoons embedded in their bodies. They are living witnesses to the history of the ocean. The environment these creatures evolved in over millions of years is changing faster than they can adapt. Arctic ice is shrinking at an unprecedented rate. Each summer brings a new and alarming record. No creature in the ocean exists alone. Dead whales feed deep-sea life. Deep-sea life feeds small fish. Small fish feed larger predators. Predators regulate populations. Everything is connected. Everything depends on each other. Whale waste is rich in iron and nitrogen, fueling the growth of phytoplankton. These microscopic plants absorb CO2 and produce oxygen. Whales are therefore key players in fighting climate change. Protecting whales means protecting our atmosphere. In the ocean, the line between predator and prey is not as clear as we think. Today's hunter can become tomorrow's prey. Balance is not maintained by strength, but by the complex relationships between all species. Every minute, a truckload of plastic enters the ocean. Giants of the sea ingest plastic, become entangled, and die from toxicity. The ocean has no borders. Pollution from land becomes a global crisis. Noise from commercial ships and military sonar has turned the ocean into an acoustic battlefield. Whales can no longer hear each other across vast distances. Songs that once traveled thousands of kilometers are now reduced to mere tens. Millions of tons of marine life are taken from the ocean each year. Large species are especially vulnerable due to slow reproduction. A sperm whale takes 15 years to mature. Overexploitation beyond recovery is a one-way path to extinction. Not all is lost. After the 1986 ban on commercial whaling, many populations have recovered significantly. Humpback whales have grown from a few hundred to tens of thousands. The ocean can heal if we give it the chance. Today, scientists track whales using satellites, drones, and AI. We are beginning to understand their language, and one day may truly communicate with these giant minds of the deep. Science is the hope of conservation. Earth is not a planet of land, but a planet of oceans. The health of the ocean is the health of the planet. When the ocean suffers, we suffer with it. This is not just an environmental issue, it is a matter of survival. They were here millions of years before us. And if we do not change, they may disappear within decades. Protecting these giants is not about saving another species. It is about saving ourselves. At the heart of our planet lies something greater than any nation that has ever existed. It had no name on ancient maps because it was believed to be the edge of the world. This is the Atlantic Ocean. Spanning over 106 million square kilometers, it is the second largest ocean on Earth. Its vastness exceeds all land combined. No human being can ever see it in its entirety. It lies between the New World and the Old, the Americas, Europe, and Africa. For thousands of years, it was a barrier between civilizations. Then one day, humanity chose to cross it. Look into it, and you see a blue without end. Beneath lies another world, cold, dark, and crushing everything within it. This is not just water. It is another planet beneath our feet. The Atlantic never stands still. Every second, billions of tons of water are in motion. Storms, winds, and currents form vast systems of movement. It never stops. Stability is an illusion. Deep within the Atlantic flows a current more powerful than all the rivers on Earth combined. It is the Gulf Stream, a warm ocean current stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to Europe. Without it, Western Europe would resemble the frozen Arctic. London and Labrador share the same latitude, yet London is far warmer in winter. A single ocean current has shaped the climate and even the civilization of an entire region. This is the thermohaline circulation, a global system regulating Earth's temperature. Warm water moves, cools, sinks, and flows again. A single cycle can take thousands of years to complete. Every day, the ocean releases millions of tons of water vapor into the atmosphere. These clouds travel across continents and return as rain. The rain you see today may have begun in the Atlantic. The ocean absorbs nearly 1/3 of the CO2 humans produce each year. It also generates more than half of the oxygen we breathe. This is not just water, it is a life support system for the planet. But this system is weakening. The Gulf Stream is showing signs of slowing due to climate change. If it collapses, Europe's climate could shift within decades. Earth's greatest climate engine is under threat. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June to November each year. Warm ocean water fuels these storms, and when conditions align, they intensify rapidly. This is the most powerful storm factory on Earth. In powerful storms, waves can reach 20 to 30 meters, as tall as a 10-story building. They move with the force of a high-speed train. No ship can endure that indefinitely. More dangerous than storms are rogue waves, sudden walls of water that appear without warning. No pattern, no signal, and often twice the height of surrounding waves. Many ships have vanished without explanation. Where warm and cold currents collide, the ocean becomes chaotic. Dense fog forms instantly, winds shift, and waves intensify. Conditions can turn from calm to deadly within hours. Inside a hurricane, winds can exceed 250 kilometers per hour. Air pressure drops so rapidly it causes physical pain. Those who have endured it say nothing can truly prepare you. In the open ocean, you are thousands of kilometers from land. If something goes wrong, rescue may take days. The Atlantic does not forgive small mistakes. Calm seas can create a false sense of safety. But this is not gentleness. It is the silence before the next storm. The Atlantic has no enemies, only those who do not yet understand it. Sunlight touches the ocean surface, but it penetrates only about 200 meters before fading away. Below lies the twilight zone, where light disappears and the world begins to transform. The descent into the ocean is a journey into eternal darkness. At 200 meters, light becomes a memory. Temperatures drop, and pressure rises rapidly. This is no longer a world meant for humans. At 1,000 meters, darkness is absolute. Pressure is 100 times that at the surface. No wind, no waves, no light, only cold and silence. Yet even here, life endures. Between 3,000 and 5,000 meters lies the deep ocean floor, a world that appears flat, yet is filled with hidden danger. The pressure can crush any human-made structure, and most of it remains unexplored. At the center of the Atlantic lies the longest mountain range on Earth, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, stretching over 16,000 kilometers. Hidden beneath the ocean, it marks where the planet is slowly pulling itself apart. Along this ridge, underwater volcanoes erupt continuously. Magma rises from deep within the Earth, meets cold water, and solidifies instantly. The Atlantic is still expanding, centimeter by centimeter each year. Over 80% of the Atlantic seafloor remains unmapped in detail. We understand the surface of the moon better than our own ocean floor. This is the last great frontier of human exploration. Life on the deep seafloor survives on what is known as marine snow. Tiny fragments of organic matter drift slowly down from the upper layers. Entire ecosystems depend on this invisible rain. At hydrothermal vents, water erupts at temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Celsius. Yet entire ecosystems thrive here without sunlight. Chemical energy from the Earth replaces the need for solar energy. In total darkness, many creatures produce their own light. These cold glows are the language of life in the deep, and many of these species remain unknown to science. At the surface, giants of the ocean migrate across vast distances. Humpback whales use the Atlantic as a transoceanic highway. Their songs can travel thousands of kilometers through the water. The great white shark is one of the most perfect predators ever evolved. It has changed little in 400 million years. The Atlantic has been its hunting ground since before the age of dinosaurs. Ocean currents bring nutrients from the depths to the surface. Plankton bloom, small fish gather, and predators follow. This is a massive, interconnected web of life operating at an unimaginable scale. The giant squid has the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. It lives in the deep ocean, rarely seen alive. The scars on sperm whales are the only evidence of silent battles fought in the dark. Sea turtles have crossed the Atlantic for over 100 million years. After decades, they return to the exact beach where they were born. The ocean is their living map, encoded deep within their genes. The Romans called it Oceanus Atlanticus, the edge of the known world. Beyond it lay death, at least in ancient belief. For thousands of years, no one dared to cross that boundary. Around the year 1000, the Vikings became the first to cross the Atlantic. Leif Erikson reached North America 500 years before Columbus. No maps, no compass, only stars and courage. In 1492, Columbus crossed the ocean with 3 small ships. For 36 days, they sailed into the unknown. When land finally appeared, many sailors wept. From that moment, human history was forever changed. Afterward, the Atlantic became the busiest trade route in the world. But alongside goods came tragedy. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported across it. This ocean witnessed both glory and human cruelty. In 1912, the Titanic, deemed unsinkable, sank within hours. Over 1,500 people died in freezing waters at -2 degrees Celsius. The Atlantic reminded humanity that nothing is truly invincible. During World War II, the Atlantic became a brutal battleground. Thousands of ships were sunk in the darkness. Today, the ocean floor is a graveyard of war and human lives. Today, tens of thousands of cargo ships cross the Atlantic each year. Nearly 40% of global trade flows through it. It remains the economic lifeline of modern civilization. The The Bermuda Triangle, between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, is known for unexplained disappearances. Dozens of ships and aircraft have vanished since the early 20th century. Science offers explanations, but the ocean still keeps its secrets. One scientific theory points to massive methane hydrate deposits beneath the seabed. When released, methane reduces water density, causing ships to sink instantly. This is not myth, it is physics. The Atlantic seafloor is constantly shifting, with hundreds of earthquakes each year. In 1755, the Lisbon earthquake triggered a massive tsunami, killing tens of thousands. The energy beneath us continues to build. At 4,000 meters, pressure is strong enough to crush steel. The 2023 Titan submersible disaster proved that even modern technology is fragile against the ocean. We explore with vessels that are incredibly vulnerable. Millions of tons of plastic drift across the Atlantic. Microplastics have entered the entire food chain. Humanity is altering the ocean faster than any natural force in history. Rising ocean temperatures are killing coral reefs. Even a small increase causes corals to expel their symbiotic algae, turning white and eventually dying. Ecosystems that support 25% of marine life are disappearing. The Atlantic is both storm and calm, life and death, history and future. It does not care about humanity. It simply exists as it has for hundreds of millions of years. We are only recent visitors, and the ocean has never promised to accept us. Humanity has learned to cross the ocean, but never to conquer it. Every journey is a negotiation with nature. Humility is not optional, it is essential for survival. We have walked on the moon, yet most of our own ocean remains unexplored. The greatest mysteries are not in space, they lie beneath us. The Atlantic still has stories yet to be told. Every day, people look out at the ocean and see infinity. The Atlantic is not an enemy, but those who underestimate it will pay the price. It existed long before us, and it will remain long after we are gone. At the southernmost tip of the Earth lies a land never conquered. Antarctica, the last intact icy continent on the planet. It belongs to no nation, only to nature. Temperatures can drop to minus 90 degrees Celsius, with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. No creature could survive here without being forged by nature over millions of years. This is the harshest place on Earth, yet also the most resilient cradle of life. In winter, the Antarctic sky is lit by the aurora australis, nature's most magnificent light show. Green, purple, and gold ribbons twist like the souls of the ocean dancing above. Even in total darkness, Antarctica finds a way to shine. Summer arrives, and the sun no longer sets. Daylight stretches for weeks. It signals the start of the planet's most miraculous explosion of life. In just a few short weeks, Antarctica awakens with unstoppable force. As the ice melts, sunlight penetrates the water for the first time after months of darkness. Billions of plankton awaken, photosynthesizing at astonishing speed. The Southern Ocean becomes one of the most nutrient-rich seas in the world. Ice sheets fracture into massive slabs, drifting along gigantic ocean currents. Each piece carries thousands of years of Earth's history compressed within. This is not merely frozen water, it is the living memory of our planet. Beneath the thin ice, a small yet majestic world thrives. Millions of algal cells cling to the underside, converting faint light into energy. They form the foundation of the entire food chain. Without them, nothing survives. Krill, tiny finger-sized crustaceans, are the most important creatures in the polar region. They consume algae and become food for everything from small fish to giant whales. The Southern Ocean's krill biomass is estimated at 500 million tons, an almost unimaginable number. From the tiniest organisms to the largest giants, all are connected in a delicate web. Any damaged link can collapse the entire system. Antarctica is not a wasteland, it is a perfectly tuned ecological machine. Beneath 4 kilometers of ice lie massive lakes untouched by the outside world for millions of years. Lake Vostok, larger than Lake Ontario, exists in total darkness with no light and no oxygen from the sky. Yet life persists there, patient and mysterious like the night watchman of time. These chemotrophic bacteria require no sunlight. They feed on minerals and respire chemicals from the rock. They remind us that life does not require normal conditions to exist. Notothenoid fish have evolved antifreeze proteins in their blood, like car coolant. Their blood does not freeze even below the normal freezing point of seawater. In the deep, dark waters, strange creatures exist beyond human understanding. The colossal squid, the largest in the world, hunts in total darkness at depths of 2,000 meters. They are proof that countless mysteries remain for science to explore. Minke whales travel thousands of kilometers each year to reach Antarctica's nutrient-rich waters. They filter tons of krill daily through their massive baleen plates. Their presence serves as a gauge of the ocean's overall health. Weddell seals can dive 600 meters and hold their breath for over 80 minutes, a record among mammals. They carve breathing holes in ice with their teeth, a skill learned from their mothers. Each seal is a living library of survival experience passed down through generations. On the seabed of the Southern Ocean, cold water coral gardens exist silently for hundreds of years. Sponges here can live over 10,000 years, longer than any human civilization. They are silent witnesses to Earth's history, now threatened daily. The Southern Ocean drives 80% of the global ocean's heat circulation. Cold waters from Antarctica flow northward, regulating climates across the planet. What happens here affects not only the poles, it affects all of us. Humpback whales, 30-ton giants, can leap entirely out of the water with astonishing grace. Their songs echo thousands of kilometers underwater, as complex as a symphony. They are artists, warriors, and teachers of the ocean. Bubble net feeding, the most sophisticated group hunting technique observed in the animal kingdom. One whale swims in a deep circle, exhaling bubbles to form an invisible trap around the fish. Others surge upward with open mouths the instant the fish have no escape. This bubble net technique is not instinctive. It is taught by mothers over years of patient observation. Calves watch, mimic, and gradually learn to coordinate with the pod in complex hunts. This is cultural transmission, proof that humans are not the only species with culture. In summer, dozens of humpback whales gather in the Southern Ocean, the largest feast of the year. Each can consume up to 1.5 tons of krill daily, storing energy for the long migration. But this banquet becomes increasingly difficult as krill populations decline. The pectoral fins of humpback whales stretch up to 5 meters, the longest relative to body size of any whale. They use these fins for navigation, communication, and even to soothe their young in uncertain moments. In these simple gestures, we witness the rare gentleness of these magnificent creatures. Humpback whales sometimes protect other species from orca attacks, actions that provide no obvious benefit to themselves. Scientists call this altruistic behavior rare in the natural world. Perhaps empathy is not exclusive to humans. In the harshest winter on Earth, when all other creatures have fled, emperor penguins remain. They choose to breed at the worst time of year, a natural paradox with deep purpose. By spring, the chicks are strong enough to face the awakening ocean. The male incubates the egg on his feet for 65 days in the winter darkness, without eating or drinking. Outside temperatures reach -50 degrees Celsius, yet under his belly the egg remains at 36 degrees Celsius. This sacrifice needs no words. It speaks volumes about paternal devotion. To survive, they form a huddle, a collective warm mass where thousands squeeze together. Inside, temperatures can reach +37 degrees Celsius, while outside it is -50 degrees Celsius. No penguin remains on the cold edge. They rotate in and out, sharing warmth equally. When the egg hatches, the chick enters a frozen world, yet is immediately wrapped in its father's warmth. The chick's call and the parent's response form a unique, vocal signature. Among thousands of identical penguins, parents and chick always find each other, by voice alone. When the parents go to sea foraging, the juveniles form an improvised nursery called a creche. They keep each other warm, shielding one another from the cold with their own bodies. No adults direct them. Social instinct is hardwired from birth. After months at sea foraging, the mother returns with a belly full of partially digested fish and squid. She recognizes her chick precisely among tens of thousands, a marvel of perception. This maternal devotion rivals that of any species on Earth. As summer arrives, chicks face the shoreline for the first time in their lives. No one teaches them to swim. Instinct and the perfect design of their bodies make it possible. Yet they hesitate, glance at one another, waiting, like children at a lakeshore, needing just a bit more courage. No predator in the Southern Ocean is more formidable than the orca, the killer whale. The male's dorsal fin rises 1.8 meters, standing tall like a declaration of absolute power. They are strategists, sociologists, and cultural architects of the ocean. Orcas live in matriarchal family groups: grandmother, mother, offspring, and grandchild, up to 4 generations together. The eldest female holds survival knowledge. Where food is, where danger lies. Even after ceasing reproduction, older females live decades longer, solely to pass knowledge to the next generation. When an ice floe hosts seals, orcas do not strike immediately. They observe, calculate, and plan. This is not mere instinct. It is tactical thinking learned and taught. Each orcapod has unique hunting techniques, like distinct cultural dialects. Wave washing, creating artificial waves to knock seals off ice, is the pinnacle of social intelligence. It requires perfect coordination among 5 to 6 whales, precise timing, angle, and wave force. This technique does not exist in every pod. It is a cultural legacy passed down within families. Calves learn hunting from their mother over many years, failing, trying again, guided, and repeating. This is intentional education, akin to a teacher instructing a student. If the mother dies early, the calf misses skills no school could provide. Orcas communicate using a complex acoustic system of clicks, whistles, and pulses. Each family has its own dialect, sequences of sounds not found in any other pod. Listening to a recording, scientists can immediately identify which pod is speaking. A female orca can live 90 years, long enough to witness the ocean change across multiple generations. She carries memories of abundant seasons and tragic famines. This lifetime of experience is the most valuable survival tool any species could need. Ocean temperatures around Antarctica have risen nearly 1 degree Celsius over the past 50 years. It may seem small, but in ecosystems refined over millions of years, 1 degree Celsius is catastrophic. Ice shelves stable for millennia have collapsed within decades. Krill rely on winter sea ice to reproduce. When ice decreases, so does krill. As krill decline, the entire food chain trembles. Penguins starve, whales grow thin, seals weaken. One broken link, the 500-million-year-old web of life begins to unravel. In some areas, emperor penguin populations have declined by up to 70% over the past 50 years. Locations where they have bred for centuries no longer have sufficient ice to sustain nests. This is not a future forecast. It is happening right now. Since 1979, the annual minimum sea ice extent has decreased by more than 13% per decade. These numbers are not computer model forecasts. They are real satellite data. We are witnessing a historic transformation unfolding before our eyes. Scientists call Antarctica the canary in the coal mine of the planet. Warning signs appear here first, signaling the state of Earth's climate system. Every measurement here is a letter to the future, and the message grows increasingly alarming. Every time you turn on the AC, drive a car, or buy a plastic product, there is an invisible connection to Antarctica. Greenhouse gases from cities around the world accumulate and impact this most remote land. There is no here and there when it comes to climate. We all live in a single system. Antarctica has existed for millions of years before humans appeared, and it deserves to exist for millions more. The creatures living here, from microbes to whales, have taught us about cooperation, patience, and adaptation. The question is not whether they can survive, but whether we are wise enough to protect them.